Welcome back to my Java Programming for Beginners series. And today I want to focus on if statements because if statements will give your program the ability not to do the same operations every time it's called. So they're extremely useful for programming. But first, we need to take a step back because there's a variable type that I did not cover in the last video, and it's called a Boolean. And it's extremely important to if statements because if statements are based on Boolean values. A Boolean is simply a variable that can only have two values, either true or false. And so a Boolean could be, I don't know, Boolean, but I don't know, we aren't really making a program right now. I should really come up with something. So Boolean is white. I don't know, I hate to make it a racial thing. Boolean is white equals false. And so I can either set it to true or false. And the reason why this is important to if statements is because an if statement is based on a Boolean value. We say if whatever we put in the parentheses is true, then you do this statement. And so you have to have a Boolean value in these parentheses. Now that doesn't mean that every single thing needs a Boolean value. In fact, there's something called a compare to interface, which you're automatically using in Java. And you can basically compare a number with another number, and it will return a Boolean value. But just to show you, is white, it's a really bad example. I'm probably going to get some hate mail because of that. But, so we're just going to get rid of this because it's too racial. So how about we just say if age is equal to 21. And what this does is this is not a Boolean value and neither is this. But this double equal sign is using the compare interface for the compare to default method and the object. We'll get to that stuff later. So obviously this is an integer and this is an integer, and it will say if these two are the same, then it will return true, which is our Boolean value, or it will return false. So how about if age is equal to 21, then we'll say system.out.println you can drink. Yeah. Yay. Anyways. And then with an if statement, there's also a else if statement, which also accepts a Boolean value. And we'll say if age is greater than 21, then system.out.println you have been able to drink for a year or more. I don't know, I'm making this up as I go along. And then there's another if statement that you can use so there's if this is true, else if this is true, or else. And else basically means that if this is not true and this is not true, then we're just going to do this anyways. And we're going to say system.out.println get out of this bar. So pretty simple. I mean, it's not complicated. It makes sense in English. So So these little markers right here, this is the greater than sign that you probably learned in second grade math. It's very useful in programming, but I want to just go over a couple others, I think, because there's greater than, and then there's greater than and equal to, and then there's less than and equal to, and that's how you represent those. You probably did those in second grade math as well, but we'll just use greater than. And that's how you use an if statement. It's pretty simple, and as you can tell, the code goes in between these two brackets, and that represents where the code is. But what if I were to get rid of these brackets? You notice that Eclipse is not actually giving me an error about it. It's like, well, I don't care. This is the one time where Java is not going to be very picky with syntax. Because when you have an if statement, Java knows that the next line is going to fall under the if statement block. So if there's only one line, then you can go ahead and not put those brackets in. But just remember that this line is the only thing that's going to fall under this if statement. So if I were to put another line, it's automatically not inside the if statement, and now Eclipse is like, okay, you're messing up. You got to change this. And so just make sure if you don't have brackets that you're only going to be using one line in the if statement, and if you're going to use more than one line, you have to have brackets. But other than that, if statements are very simple. They're essential to programming in any computer language. So I wanted to make sure I covered those. I'm kind of sorry that this I don't have like a program for us to do right now. I'll make sure I come up with one soon, because now that we know how to do if statements, we're going to be able to start doing more interesting things in programming. So, but that's all I have for this tutorial, and make sure you guys subscribe. That way you can catch my next video, and write down a comment if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But until next time, we'll see you guys later.